Well, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about BCHG at the request of Flower Child. I meant to make this one yesterday, but I just didn't have time. I honestly didn't have time. Let's talk about it now, though. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Looking at the chart for BCHG, guys, I think it's time to panic. You know, we're all fucked. No, I'm kidding. Please don't sell. You can't anyways. The market's closed. Haha, you're stuck. No. It's fine. It's fine. I hope, and I've actually gotten a couple of comments in regards to it, like the sentiment lately, right? People are kind of worried about the price. It's fine, right? If you remember, like, yes, over the past 2 days ago, after this day, was it Friday? It was Monday. Yeah, after Monday, I was calling for the price to move up. But prior to that, I was actually calling for a move that was basically exactly in line with this. You still got higher lows, guys. Everything's fine. BCHG is not broken. It's not broken at all. It still looks completely bullish. Nothing's changed, right? Nothing has changed at all. Bitcoin Cash itself is moving down, right? If we maybe not that chart, let's go to BCH USD. But I'm quite confident that it actually found its low today or yesterday, whatever day. Yeah, it would have been today. I think today or yesterday, whichever one. They're pretty similar. I'm pretty confident that was it, man. I really do, which would then imply that BCHG would move up as well. If we look at this low point, that's not the low point, but I'll get to it, I swear. The low point here to the high point, you're actually right at your 382. If this was a daily or a weekly chart, right, you treat them all more or less the same. Certain indicators maybe merit difference, like the monthly RSI is a bit different to understand than the weekly or the daily is, in my opinion. It can look differently and be more bullish, or look differently and be more bearish than you would expect on the daily or weekly, but that's not the point. What I'm trying to say is, if I treat this like the daily or the weekly, like imagine this was a weekly time frame or a daily time frame, I would think that this looks like the perfect area to find support on the 382. The one thing, and because after a very strong move, this is only on the 4 hour, but from a 4 hour perspective, this is a very strong move. On strong moves, you generally do expect to tip. You don't even expect to go below the 382. You could go a little bit below. It's fine if you do. But this exact maneuver is very, very, very common. This in itself is a bull flag, right? And it's just ready to rip and take you up to that next level. I wonder, actually, what would that be if we measure something like that? And we put it right here. I put you basically right up to your 61869 zone, right? The golden ratio itself, a little bit above it, near the measure move of this inverse head and shoulders pattern itself, but right up there, just above it actually. So that lines up with the breakout move of this inverse head and shoulders, which would be at about 575. This would take you, you know, from the bull flag perspective, that would take you to about 550. But yeah, I'm calling for a low on BCH itself. I'm doing a little bit more BCH analysis than I feel like I should on this video. You're actually very near the 382 of your overall fib, 2 382s. Something that I will say, though, that I don't like, or that might imply that you go lower, is that there's really no price action here that constitutes as support, right? Here's your high, here's your resistance point right here, right, where you found resistance there. I'm going to delete the fib now. The fib you can see is below, right? You can see it's right there, but resistance here, resistance there, support right there, right? Not right here. It'd be a little bit lower. But what gives me some confidence that BCH doesn't need to go lower is if we look at the BCH BTC chart, and I'm comparing this because the underlying asset to your Grayscale trust, I think it's a fair comparison to make. If you look at this chart, BCH versus BTC, it actually has interacted with this previous high point here, and on a daily perspective, it actually closed like right at this daily high close, daily low close here, daily high close back here. So this could be why we don't see BCH itself drop more, and it could be why BCHG itself as well is probably at its low. Beyond the very obvious, which is that it's maintaining higher lows and looking completely fine. It could go lower and it could be fine. Like really, it could go down to $8.80. You're at $9.25. Let it go lower. Remember, you guys remember what I said, right? That if it happened to go down, this would only be a blessing of an opportunity for people to buy. That's it, right? I remember saying that. I think it was on this day that I said that, calling for it to go up, and I said if I happen to be wrong and it goes down, this will only be a blessing. That hasn't changed, I promise you. So same thing with LTCN. And actually, I do want to talk about LTCN. Damn, I should have thrown that in the beginning of the video. But I'm going to talk about it now. So I'll just throw it in the title, and hopefully people catch on to that, figure it out at least. Hit that like button and subscribe, you guys, if you're figuring it out. Let's see here. From a high to a low, nothing's changed as far as targets go. The next target area, the immediate target area, would be $32 to $47, potentially even beyond that, right? By the time this move is over, I wouldn't be surprised if you were at new all-time highs, right? Anything from like a $97 price to a $245, $250 price is on the table by the time this next move's over. And this next move does not have to happen in 2 months. It doesn't have to happen by the end of the year. I would expect that you're at new all-time highs by the end of the year. I do expect that. But where you top off with this next move could very well be the high for BCHG for the whole cycle for this trust. Not for BCH, but for the whole cycle. It genuinely could be. I don't really know if I believe that it will be. I think that it'll have one more run after this next run, but it's something to consider. Okay, it is something to consider because we will be getting to these cycle high topping areas that I've been talking about for over a year now, right? From a high to a low here, 250 minimum target, right? And that's kind of the target that we would expect to see this next move. 528 is the target. That's the area that I'm personally expecting BCHG to go around there. There's an argument to be made that it could go higher, especially if Bitcoin Cash grows more while BCHG is still in its bull run. But we've seen this last cycle, BCHG topped off before the underlying asset did, right? It had its high about a half year before. So if BCHG were to top off in April, let's say, right, that would literally be a half month or a half year before what I would expect BCH to top off, right? So it really, this move could last. April's right here. That's April. If I'm going to put a vertical line there actually, because I suck at drawing vertical lines apparently. Vertical line. Here's April. It sounds so far away, April of 2025, but if you look at it on a chart, right, it's not that far away, especially when talking about this next move up. If you were to move up, I mean, like you might not even hit $500 by then, right? And that could be your topping point. Maybe it happens later. Maybe your topping point happens later and it happens closer to the all-time high of Bitcoin Cash or the cycle high of Bitcoin Cash like I'm expecting it to. But maybe isn't, you can wipe your ass with maybe. Like life, you can plan and life doesn't care about your plans, right? It's best to be safe. This might be a good time, not just time-wise, but price action-wise, to think about taking profits, to think about layering out, right? You don't have to sell everything, and I do what you want, right? I don't hold any of this myself. I'm not going to be selling any because I don't have any, but and I won't be selling any Bitcoin Cash around that time probably, unless things look like they're topping off in the charts, and in which case BCHG might top off earlier too. But I think layering out is wise. It doesn't mean you have to sell everything. It doesn't even mean you have to sell half, but like 10%, 20%. 30%, maybe half, maybe more, whatever your risk tolerance is. I hear a lot of you saying that if this thing gets to $200 that you're set, and I love that for those people that are okay with not catching the exact top. The people that are trying to catch the exact top, you might squeeze the lemon for all of its juice. You might not though. You might not. You might sprain your hand. I don't know what kind of analogy to use there, but if you try to catch the top and you miss it, just remember to take profits. Remember not to be a bag holder, right? Because you will, over time, it will just whittle its way down, and maybe it does go higher. I'm not drawing this as a absolute prediction as to where the price is going to be by this time, and it might not be just one move, because that's a pretty large move in itself compared to what we've seen recently, right? Perhaps you have multiple moves up. Perhaps we do by the end of this year move up just above. Come on now, just above all-time highs like that, and then we consolidate for some months, and then we move up again, right? Maybe it's just like that, and then it's August that we've topped out, right? And maybe it's higher, maybe it's lower, maybe it probably won't look exactly like this, but that's the whole point. You don't know what it's going to look exactly like. I don't know what it's going to look exactly like, and I did that whole long-term analysis, which really gave us, I did that a month ago or a few weeks ago. That gave us a time frame of likely for BCHG probably sometime between April or August that we would see this thing top off. That's a very large window of time. But if you compare that with the price too, that might give you a bit of a heads up as well. Like, hey, we're up above $400. We're up above $500, and it's only May. We're in that window of time. We're in that window of price. It might be a good time to start phasing out, right? and this is far away, but it's close enough to talk about. Another thing I want to discuss, which is something that probably nobody has. Maybe some people with larger amounts of money have done, but a good thing to do whenever talking about cycle highs, if you're trying to sell at the end of the cycle, don't give yourself a ridiculous price, but give yourself a price where you think it's going to go. Set your sell orders in right now. Set your limit orders in right now. Don't do market orders, right? For those of you that don't know, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you know by now, but a market order is different than a limit order. A market order will execute right now. Limit order you can set, and it won't execute until the price gets there. So it could be sitting there for months. It could be sitting there for years if you don't actually get the top. Don't put your limit order all the way up here just because that number's there, right? If time gets closer, if we get closer and closer to this, let's say we're moving up here and it's August, and you set your limit order here, if things are looking bullish and you want to cancel that limit order and raise it, there's nothing wrong with that, but just make sure you get out, right? Like the thing that I'm really trying to address is that it's not a disadvantage to set your orders up right now, because the way that the order books work is first come, first serve. If you want to sell at $528 and there's 1,000 other sells that are there and you're the last person to do it, your order will get hit last. It could hit 528, but you won't see a dime of that. You could put $1,000 of a sell order in there and maybe only $5 of it gets hit because there's other orders ahead of you. You put it in now, you're getting ahead of the game, and you can always cancel it free of charge, right? It's no skin off your back, but just remember that you have those there, right? And I don't know, sometimes setting a limit order and forgetting about it is kind of nice, because even if the price does go well past, you set it at 500 and it goes up to like 1,000, at least you got out, because where it's going to go afterwards will be definitely less than half of this, right? At least you got out. Like it kind of forces you to go along with your plan if you don't remember that it's there. I don't know, but another thing to remember, because I think that there's part of that that's good advice, but there's part of that is bad advice too, because waiting on a number, trust me, I've done this before. I've missed the top by literally, oh God, let me think, not even 6%. I had my limit order set for a lot of cash, guys, like at the last cycle's high. For Dogecoin specifically, I had it set to 78 cents on Robinhood. The price hit 75 cents. Okay, and I had everything set there, right? Which probably wasn't the best idea. I probably should have layered it out, but it was the Elon Musk night. I was thinking it would pump up like crazy. I just wanted to get out. Maybe I was the reason why it didn't go higher. I don't know, but man, like I had a lot of cash ready to sell. I was off by 3 cents, and because of that, I waited for the prices to come back, because I wanted to hit that, and I set that limit order there ahead of time. I guess not that far advanced in time, but because I had that set there, I had that preconceived notion that the price is going to go there. That was my price that I had it to sell at. I thought it was going to go to $1, right? But I was okay with selling at 78 cents, because with that I would have had 100x on Dogecoin. But I didn't get 100x. In fact, I sold at like a 60x. I sold at a 20x. I averaged out of Dogecoin with a 14x. So it could have been a 97x. Oh no! But I wanted the 100x. Don't count on your limit order to be hit. Be open to changing it, right? And don't flop. Like, don't get scared, or don't change it higher just because you're feeling euphoric. Like, it's a really hard dance to tango with. But man, if you've both got to, I'm losing what I'm trying to say, man. You've got to both be open to changing it if you think the price will exceed going higher, but you also have to be open-minded enough to understand yourself being too euphoric, right? And just being okay with taking the sell order that you had, because if you set it higher when you're euphoric versus right now when you're planning it months in advance before you're euphoric, you might not be making the best decision, and you might be off by 3 cents. You might be left holding the bag, and you could have had a 97x instead of a 100. You know what I mean? Like, don't do that to yourself. It can happen to anybody. It really can. And it's nice making money. As long as you're making money, you're not doing it wrong, right? But it sucks when you're that close and it's just because you were stubborn, and you didn't give way. Get out. You got in. The whole point is to get out. That's the point. You might not catch the exact top, but if you get out, you're making money. Anyone can make profits. Only the professionals take profits. I'm done with that part. Let's talk about LTCN. I hope that made sense. it's a pretty subjective kind of line of thinking. It's different for everybody, right? There's no rule book or textbook way to figure it out, because like I said, there's good advice in that and bad advice in that, in setting your limit orders early. I think it's good because it gives you, especially if you're not being crazy with it and you're being somewhat realistic with it, I think it gives you a plan, which is something to go along with and be established, and like convicted in what you're thinking now versus what you'll be thinking when you're euphoric. And even if it goes a little bit higher, you set it at a price that you think it's going to go to that you're okay with. Who cares if it goes higher? It's a price that you've already predetermined is good enough for you. You know what I mean? But again, we'll go over. I'll be here. I'll be talking about it unless something terrible happens to me and I'm no longer on this planet, which I hope doesn't happen. But you never know, guys. Time is a fleeting thing for all of us. Nobody plans the day they die, right? It can happen to anybody at any given time, but I plan to be here for the rest of the bull cycle, right? So hopefully I'll be there to tell you what my thoughts are, if it's going to go up or go down. But even I fall prey to emotions, right? Like anybody does. And it's professional traders make mistakes too. Professional investors make mistakes too. Nobody's perfect, right? You just get better at kind of at controlling yourself, I guess, as time goes on. But you slip sometimes. You really do. It can happen. And even when you slip, you can still make a lot of money. But just don't be too greedy, right? Enough preaching. LTCN on a monthly basis, you're at your 382, man. You consolidated below it. Now you're kind of consolidating above it, right? Like that's not bad. Look, you're literally actually doing. I'm gonna delete these here, these circles, and then get on the weekly. You're literally doing what you did before you broke out, but now you're finding support. Now that might sound bad because you might be breaking down. I don't think that's going to happen, but you're finding support on a previous area of resistance here at your breakout point, right? Like that's a nice look, actually. This is a perfect thing. Yes, it's going lower. Yes, it's down 12% this week already, but I think it's fine. I really do think it's fine. It doesn't have the higher lows like BCHG does, but this could be some kind of double bottom in itself. If it does go lower, and it very well could go lower, maybe you see prices all the way down to $15. You're at $16.65 now. I definitely didn't expect that you would take this low out, but hey, it happened. It's no time to panic. LTC itself still looks fine, and if we look at that chart here, LTC USD, it looks fine, right? It's not going down. It's kind of consolidating around its 123 moving average. The weekly candle does look somewhat grim right now, to be completely fair, but the daily RSI looks nice. You're moving sideways, you're consolidating, you've broken your downtrend, okay? You've broken it, and you've broken it in a way that's like a sideways breakout, right? You even back tested it for support here. And yes, I drew that, if you're like, you drew it, I could be fudging the numbers. Maybe I am. Let's try and get a better look at this. I don't know, something like that. You basically crowded it, found support on it, and you're moving sideways. This is a bullish look. I think that you will break out of this to the upside. If you go down, it will be by insignificant amounts, which would then translate into LTCN moving down. Your weekly RSI, or your weekly ribbon, is actually crossed to the upside. It looks really nice right now. It's contracting. You're likely going to get a nice just recoil to this move, honestly. It'll probably bounce harder than BCHG does in a relatively short amount of time. But taking away the ribbon, looking at it like this, maybe it does move down to $15. Maybe it moves down to $13. If that were to happen, and I don't think it does, but if it were to happen, take it for what it is, an opportunity. It's a blessing. It's an opportunity to buy at lower prices. Nothing wrong with buying here. In fact, I think anybody buying here, you're probably not going to get the chance for too long. It's probably going to move up pretty quickly, but time will tell. I can be wrong. Again, I thought this was a low, but hey, here you are, a little bit lower. Let's look at the weekly RSI or daily RSI. Daily RSI itself is in the oversold zone. It could imply lower prices. It definitely could. That's a hell of a dump off there, but maybe it moves up. Oh, this is something else I wanted to talk about. I think Flower Child mentioned this. If not, somebody else did in the comments, and I'm sorry I'm not giving you credit, whoever you are. I think it was Flower Child, though. And you wanted me to go over it with BCHG, but we're going to go over it with LTCN now. Is that the PP sales are they're going to be open, right? They're going to be unlocked in the month of August, right? Is it going to be? It's not going to be August 1st. I think the time on that, it's like the middle of August, right? I think it would be the middle of August. And the last time that you had private placement sales unlocked, right, was all the way back hither, right? In the very beginning. First day you sold off, and then you pumped going into it, and then you dumped and you consolidated for a little bit, and then you moved, but that pump itself from a low to a high was a 400% move, right? In a 2-day span. That's, that's pretty crazy. It wouldn't surprise me if before these private placements became unlocked, if you did move up, right? And if you move down, good. Screw those private placement people, man. They're not going to get it as suitable as it might have been, right? But I don't think that this is going to, by it I mean prices. I don't think that this is going to reverberate into something greater with LTCN. I don't think that these private placement sales or for BCHG are going to hinder it too much. I wouldn't be surprised at all if you saw selling off anytime in my over 7 years of experience doing this stuff and being in the markets doing technical analysis. Anytime that there's unlocks of any variety for stocks, for tokens, for cryptos, for whatever, when there's an unlock, when they're finally allowed to transact, there's always selling pressure. Always. Because the people who are in the markets, who are looking to buy this stuff, they're not going to buy because they're not sure if there will be selling pressure. There's people who imply that there's some kind of hope that there won't be selling pressure. Maybe these people are in it for the right reasons, and it's just going to go up. We're not going to see the selling pressure, and that'll be really bullish. Some people, like to fabricate things that just don't make sense, but that happens too. There's always an argument for people to not sell. They always sell. There's always selling pressure, and then the people that make the argument to not sell, they'll probably buy at the relative highs, and then when the price dumps, they panic sell and they add to that selling pressure actually. So I guess all I'm trying to say by this topic here is that when the selling happens with the private placement sales, I don't expect it to be too dramatic. I do expect it to happen, I definitely do, but how dramatic will it be? I don't think it's going to make LTCN crap out. I'm kind of expecting that you might pump the first week or two of August, and then, perhaps you correct a little bit based on that private placement sales. All the people who wanted to sell are going to. The people who know what they're doing are going to buy after the selling's over, and then, boom, then it goes up. And then there might be more people who are part of the private placement sales that sell along the way up too. It might hinder what could have been an overall greater pump to come, maybe, but I mean, it might not. I don't know. I don't think it's going to hinder it too much, but I'm an optimist, I guess. Really, you're finding support at areas of previous resistance, areas of previous support. I think you look fine. LTCN. I don't mind that you're down at all. You're at your 618 area. Like, really, I don't think that you're going to go too much lower, if at all lower. Daily RSI is in the oversold zone, which could imply slightly lower prices to come, but this also is a perfect area to kind of flip the script and start moving up. Weekly RSI. Maybe you close this week down a little bit more and you bounce right off your 40. You've bounced off this area before. You're showing support on it now. Maybe you do go a little bit lower. It is possible, but I don't see LTCN going too much lower with LTC looking the way it does. I would expect LTC is about to move up as well. So regardless of the private placements or not for BCHG and LTCN, the underlying assets look good, right? And the underlying assets don't care about these private placement sales. They're going to move up. So I think there will be pressure and incentive for these things to go up, right? And I'm just talking so much right now, but I don't think there's any cause for concern. Don't be concerned if the price moves lower. Take it for what it is. It's an opportunity. It's just an opportunity. And if you don't have cash to capitalize on that opportunity, that's okay. It sucks to wait for things to go up, especially as they're going down, and it's been, since April that they've just been going down, but be patient, right? Be patient. You guys are patient for a pretty decent time amount right here, right? You can be patient right now. It's basically the same amount of time, right? Like quite literally the exact same. This was even, I guess, maybe a little bit longer, relatively speaking, but just a little bit. I don't know. I'm rambling, so I'm going to end the video there, guys. I hope you liked it. If you did, hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. This kind of, actually... No, I'm not going to call it that, actually. No. I was going to say it's a broadening bottom pattern, but I don't think it is. I don't think it is. I don't know what to call it. Maybe it's a double bottom. Maybe it's a triple bottom. I don't know. But again, if it goes lower, it's okay. All right, I'm done repeating myself. I'll see you on the next one. Take care of yourself, everybody. Bye-bye.